want to show a new feature that I discovered the other day. It's called Calendar.Help. Calendar.Help is basically using Cortana, and you may be familiar with Cortana from Xbox if you played Halo. Also in Windows 10, you do have the access of Cortana in the workspace now, but also we can use Cortana to help schedule meetings. And that's all Calendar.Help does. It schedules meetings for us. So to show you an example, here we have an email thread with Megan Bowen. And we'll see here that Megan was talking to a colleague of her, Lee, and basically she talked to Lee about a quadcopter project that they're doing, and she thinks that they need to have a follow-on meeting to discuss. And there you'll notice she wrote in the email, Cortana, please schedule a meeting for sometime next week in the Azure conference room. Okay. In here, what's one thing to notice I'll come back to is she actually sent an email to Cortana at Calendar.Help as well. All right. So when she sent that off, within about a minute, she received an email back from Cortana that says, hey, I've received your message, and now she's working with Lee to get the message scheduled. And if we continue looking at the email thread, about 15 minutes after the second email, it says here that she is set up 30 minutes on their calendar for 10 a.m. Eastern time. All right. So if you look on her calendar right now, you'll see here on the 5th, she did set up a meeting for Lee and Megan to meet and discuss what they're going to discuss later on. Now you'll notice that the time is a little different because when Cortana sent the email, she said at 10 a.m. Eastern. Megan, it looks like, is on the West Coast, so it automatically updated so it's doing her local time. And the same thing would be true if it was Lee. Because they're meeting in person, I would imagine they're both going to have a 7 a.m. call, it looks like. Now, using this, what happened was Cortana worked with Lee, so she sent off an email to Lee Gu, and in that email would have been a listing of 3 or 4 or even 5 different times and dates that Megan had available on her calendar to meet. So you'll see that once that happened, Lee was able to respond back, and he didn't have to use any special programming. He could respond back just as if it was a person he was talking to, although Cortana is a bot. But he could basically respond back and says, yeah, I'm available at 7 a.m. or at 10 a.m., or please schedule it for 10 a.m. or something. You don't have to use any particular format because Cortana is running on a bot, which I suspect is using the bot framework because it is a Microsoft product. And it looks like they're probably using Lewis and NLP or natural language processing. So you could just speak to it as if you were a person, and the bot can decipher that. Now, to look a little bit about what's going on underneath the hood, if you go to Calendar.Help, and that's Calendar.Help, and you sign in, here we'll see Megan is signed in. It'll show any meetings that she's got scheduled. So here we can see here is her meeting with Lee Gu. You can actually click on that and you'll see the email thread that went back and forth on that. Also in here, they have a preferences section where you can set up things like your name, email, aliases, time zone that you're in. So Cortana Calendar.Help is actually working at Eastern Standard Time. So because Megan's on the West Coast, just to keep things so that they're not confusing later on, she might want to actually change this to the West Coast. Let's see here, we'll say Pacific Time. Okay. All right, so that then in the future she can make sure it's in her time zone. You can also set the preferred meeting duration. So you'll notice that when Megan sent her email, she did not tell you how long. She just set up a meeting. So Cortana was able to use the default meeting duration, which is 30 minutes. Also the preferred meeting time. So basically, Megan doesn't want to have meetings outside of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And her days are Monday through Friday. Now, I've experimented with this, and I can tell you that you can actually override that. So if you send Cortana a message that says, hey, Cortana, make a meeting for Saturday at 2 p.m., she'll actually do that. But you have to tell her in your message to her that you want a meeting that's outside your meeting days. Also, you'll see here you can set up things like your preferred lunch time and how long it is. You can also tell Cortana not to schedule a meeting during lunchtime. And again, that's for default. You can always override that and say, yes, schedule for lunchtime. If you have any conference rooms, you can put them in the order that you prefer them to be scheduled. Also, the remote, if there's a phone number that you use, you can enter that so that when they send the email invite, Cortana can actually put in the name of the phone number. Also, if there's a conference number or conference bridge that you use, you can put that information in there as well. Well, let me update this so that Cortana can get this new information on Megan. So I'm going to save it there. All right, so that's how you can basically set up if you're familiar with using Cortana, we used to call it the notebook. This is how you would set up the notebook for the meetings. And next we have the About section. This is great because one of the first things if you use this product I would recommend doing is looking at the frequently asked questions. So you'll see here one of the first ones is what can I say to Cortana when requesting a meeting? And they give you several examples of things that you can use, say, and get the meeting scheduled. Now, notice that there isn't anything fancy. You got to start off with Cortana naturally, so it knows that this is dealing with Cortana. But you can also say things like, can you find us an hour for coffee at Starbucks at 5th Avenue and Broadway, for instance. Also, there's some other things in here about scheduling it for a conference room. You'll notice you can also request a Skype for Business meeting. So you can just say, in their example, Cortana, please organize a Skype meeting for next week. All right. Just so you know, when you use Cortana, it's going to schedule everybody who is on your to or your CC list or CC list rather. So if there is somebody who you don't want to have in a part of that meeting, what I would suggest doing is make sure you put them as a BCC. Cortana will not schedule them if they're a BCC, but if they are in the to or the CC, it's going to schedule them. So for the Skype meeting, if there was 5 people on the message trail, 2 of them I didn't want to have in the meeting, I would BCC them. And then when Cortana scheduled it, she would only schedule 4. And this is also true for like in-person or phone calls, not just for Skype. But you'll also see there's other options in here that you can go to and use to figure out different things about it. One of the things that is a bit of a sore point is Cortana does not consider travel time whenever creating meetings. So keep that in mind. If you're like out and about, for instance, I live in the DC, Baltimore area. So if I have a meeting in DC that ends at 10, in theory, Cortana would set me up for a meeting in Baltimore, which is about 60 miles away, to start at 10. So unless I have, I don't know, time travel or something, I'm not going to make that meeting. But keep that in mind that she's not going to take into account things like that. Some other things to think about too, if you have a feature request, so if you've used it a bit, I would highly recommend going to user voice to either vote on features that you would like to see in there. I know I went there to talk about putting in a padding, and not necessarily because you're traveling far, but I personally enjoy having a 10 or 15 minute pad, if you will, between meetings, even if they're in the same location, still having that time, to get something to eat, go to the restroom, get ready for the next meeting. And also, if you have a question or a problem with using Calendar.Help, they have their email there, support@Calendar.Help. It's been very helpful. I've written to them once. They do respond back pretty quickly. So it's not one of those things where you're sending an email to a black hole. But anyway, that is the Calendar.Help feature. I love it. I enjoy it. There is another one called Find Time. I know my friend Jeremy he is a big fan of Find Time. I'm not so much, because the way I work, Calendar.Help works better with my workflow and my processes as opposed to Find Time. But they're both available. I know with the way that Jeremy works, Calendar.Help does not work for him. Find Time works for him. So for you, I would suggest, take a look at Calendar.Help. Not saying that it's better or it's worse than Find Time. It's just another way. All right. So that's my quick demo and explanation on Calendar.Help. I highly recommend you go and sign up for it. You might get in right away, or you may be waitlisted. If you are waitlisted, don't worry, because within a day, literally within 24 hours. I've done this on several of my pretend accounts in here, and within 24 hours, they are normally taken off the wait list and are given access to the project. Just got to remember that Calendar.Help is in preview right now, so it's not generally available, which is why there is a wait list, but it's a very short wait list. Don't think you're going to be on there forever and all. But that's my quick demo on Calendar.Help. If you'd like to see some more of these or some other tricks inside of 365, put them down in the comments. Let me know. Also, the customer demo, I'm thinking about actually making a video of that demo where I discovered Calendar.Help, so you can see the entire demo of how 365 is used. It's a very neat demo. If you're interested, again, put that in the comments. Let me know, and if I get enough positive feedback or even negative, I may just post the video. All right, take care, and thank you for watching.